class, settle down. Yes, please take your seats and open your barracks to the Transfer of Property Act 1882. Welcome to today's explainer. Now I want absolute pin drop silence and your complete focus today because we are going to master a topic that is literally guaranteed to appear as a 10-mark or 16-mark question in your KSLU university examinations, okay? Let's dive right into this. Have your pens ready, take meticulous notes, and follow exactly how I instruct you to structure your answers.
Exam question 25, write a note on actionable claims. Now, the reason we're starting here is because this exact phrasing appears repeatedly year after year in previous KSLU question papers. When you see this question, you do not panic, you smile, because today's explainer is your definitive step-by-step blueprint to write an answer that absolutely secures maximum marks. Our agenda today: 1. Intro to actionable claims. 2. Statutory elements and exclusions. 3. Legal transfer procedure. 4. Landmark case law analysis. And 5. Importance and conclusion. Class, consider this your mandatory synopsis. Replicate this exact list on the very first page of your answer booklet to immediately capture the evaluator's attention. Section 1, Intro to Actionable Claims.
A strong, legally precise introduction sets the academic tone for the rest of your paper. If your introduction is weak, you lose the evaluator's confidence immediately, and that severely affects your maximum marks weightage. So we begin with this: intangible rights enforced through legal action, governed by Sections 3 and 130 to 137 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882. Write this exactly, and I strongly advise you, in your exam booklet, take your pen and boldly underline those section numbers. An examiner looks for statutory precision right from the start. You're basically telling them, I know exactly where this lives in the Bare Act.
Pay close attention as I read this precise statutory text. Sec. 3. Definition. A claim to any debt other than secured debt, or a claim to any beneficial interest in movable property, not in possession, which can be enforced by a civil action. Now, what is critical about this statutory language is the strict parameters the law actually sets. I want you to deliberately dissect and emphasize two critical phrases in your answer: other than secured debt and movable property. I am warning you right now, do not paraphrase this. Mug up this exact phrasing. If a debt is backed by a mortgage, it is secured, and therefore, it is fundamentally outside this definition.
Section 2. Statutory elements and exclusions.
Once you've given the definition, you absolutely must systematically break it down into its essential elements for crystalline clarity. Evaluators love bullet points. 1. Right to sue. 2. Relates to debt or beneficial interest. 3. Property must be movable. 4. Claimant is not in possession. You will list these exact 4 ingredients sequentially on your exam paper. Please do not write them as a messy paragraph. Bullet them out exactly like this to secure full marks for the elemental breakdown. This proves you haven't just memorized the definition, but you actually understand its moving parts.
Let's look at examples of actionable claims: unsecured debts, book debts, insurance claims, arrears of rent, versus what is not an actionable claim: secured debts, mere right to sue, and lottery tickets. Carefully contrast unsecured debts against secured debts here, and notice how a mere right to sue for unliquidated damages is completely excluded. Presenting this exact comparative breakdown in your exam shows true conceptual mastery to the university evaluator. It is the absolute hallmark of a distinction grade student. Section 3, Legal Transfer Procedure. So how do these intangible rights actually move from one person to another in the real world? Well, the law is incredibly strict regarding the mechanics of how these claims are commercially transferred, and you must reflect that strictness in your writing. Section 130 Transfer sets a clear procedure. 1. Written instrument. 2. Signature of transferor. 3. No registration required. 4. Sec 131, Notice to Debtor. Class, I explicitly instruct you to draw this exact linear flowchart in your answer script and underline step number 3, no registration required. Evaluators frequently use this as a classic trick question in vivas and objective sections. An actionable claim transfer does not require registration under the Registration Act. It merely requires a written instrument signed by the transferor. As for transferee rights, gets all rights and remedies, subject to liabilities and equities, can sue in his own name, enforce claim like original creditor. The absolutely crucial point here is that this procedure effectively places the transferee directly into the shoes of the original creditor. They are armed with the exact same full legal remedies, but they also take it subject to any existing liabilities. The law doesn't magically give them a better title than the original creditor had.
Section 4, Landmark Case Law Analysis.
Put your pens down for a second. I demand absolute focus here. Stating the Bear Act provisions is only half the battle. Missing these mandatory case laws will automatically prevent you from scoring top-tier marks. Case law is the lifeblood of your legal argument. Our first mandatory case is Jugal Kishore Saraf v. Raw Cotton Co. Ltd., Ratio Decidendi and Relevance. Defined the scope of actionable claims and their legal transfer. Now listen carefully to this deep breakdown. The brief facts here involve the transfer of a decree of a court versus the transfer of a mere debt. The Supreme Court established a crucial ratio decidendi. A judgment debt, meaning a court decree, is not an actionable claim under Section 3, but a mere right to recover an existing debt absolutely is. The absolute relevance of this case is that it cements the rigid boundary of what constitutes a valid claim under Section 3 and strictly mandates that transfer must happen via Section 130. I order you to draw this exact boxed format on your exam. Write this case law in a separate boxed format just like this, to force the examiner to see your legal authority.
Our next landmark authority is State of Bihar v. Maharaja Di Raja Sir Kameshwar Singh. Ratio Decidendi and Relevance. Clarified the fundamental nature of actionable claims. Here is your mandatory deep breakdown. The facts of this landmark case revolved around the abolition of zamindari estates. The state was taking over estates, and the legal dispute arose over arrears of rent owed by tenants to the zamindars. Were these arrears actionable claims that the state could acquire? The Supreme Court's ratio decidendi was a resounding yes. They held that arrears of rent are indeed actionable claims, because they represent a beneficial interest in movable property not in possession. The relevance of this case is massive. It completely settled the intrinsic nature of rent and debt as intangible property capable of legal transfer. Underline this case name to immediately capture the KSLU evaluator's attention for a 10-mark or 16-mark answer.
Section 5. Importance and Conclusion.
We are now in the final phase of your blueprint. You've stated the law, broken down the elements, explained the procedure, and cited Supreme Court authority. Now, you must tie the rigid legal theory back to its vital commercial realities to finish strong. The importance rests on 3 pillars: facilitates transfer of intangible rights, promotes commercial transactions, recognizes value of non-physical property. Memorizing these 3 specific commercial pillars proves to the evaluator that you don't just memorize the Bear Act like a robot. You actually grasp the real-world utility of the Transfer of Property Act. You understand that actionable claims allow businesses to maintain liquidity by trading debts. Finally, you will write this exact pre-formulated conclusion paragraph. Actionable claims are enforceable rights relating to debts and beneficial interests in movable property. The law enables their transfer, ensuring flexibility and efficiency in commercial dealings. This comprehensively seals your 16-mark answer with a professional, academic bow.
I'll leave you with this scenario. If a client wants to transfer an unpaid mortgage debt and an unpaid insurance claim, which one is strictly governed by Section 130? Think about it. I am challenging you to remember the crucial exclusion of secured debts we discussed at the very beginning. Only the unsecured insurance claim is an actionable claim under Section 130. The mortgage debt is secured by immovable property. If you couldn't answer this instantly, you need thorough revision before the final exam. Study your Bear Acts, follow this exact blueprint, and secure those marks. Dismissed.